Barking dogs can be a real problem. They can. I have a very vocal dog, Tonka, and when I went down to Georgia to pick Tonka up, I thought all my dogs were in a row. This is the truth. I didn't ask our Tonka's parents, are they vocal? So I pulled up to the place and all the dogs went out. There were 40 GSPs and some Britneys, and they were all real vocal. They never stopped barking the whole time that I was there. If you notice, Tonka is not barking right now. He doesn't have a bark collar on. That doesn't mean that he can still be vocal. He can. And at times, if I know that it would be a situation where he might be vocal, I might use a bark collar with him. Because when dogs get, some dogs like Tonka, it's related to excitement. There's this energy built up. He doesn't do it when he's running. Do you understand? Like, because that energy is being expended in a certain way. But if he's in the house, he would have a tendency to be vocal because there's this like pent-up energy that comes out. It has to come out somewhere. So some dogs are more vocal than others. Each dog is barking for, they bark for different reasons. They could bark because they want something. It could be attention. They could be barking because somebody's coming up to the house. It could be territorial issues. All dogs sort of, bark at different times for different reasons, but it's still obnoxious. It's obnoxious, and as a human, I don't need to hear it. If the dog's barking for food, you don't need to hear that. You're going to feed the dog, right? If the dog's barking to go out, that could be sort of okay, but it also, on the same hand, you don't want the dog getting to that point where it barks where it needs to go out. You should be taking the dog out on time. If the dog has the runs or something and barks, that's good. But don't encourage that barking. Some breeds are more vocal than others, that's for sure. Now Bella here, this mellow dog, will bark at times. And when she's barking, here are the situations that I was told about. She goes to a window, right, and looks for dogs and starts running back and forth, barking at people or dogs out on the street. That's one situation that she does. It's related to excitement, and she's probably being a bit territorial. Now, I haven't seen too much of that. Of course, I don't have a window that's real low, but she has barked. She has started barking, and she did this the other morning, and then she did it this morning. And she's doing it in the morning. She's not doing it at night. I'm not really seeing anything like that. But like she's doing it real early in the morning. Now her mom gets up at 6, which is about 2 hours earlier than I get up. So she's probably waking up. She probably, she might want to eat at that early time. She might be used to eating at that time. She might be fed at 6, if I'm not mistaken. The dog needs to eat when I feed it. There's no reason that Bella can't wait until 8:30 or 9 o'clock. It's an adult dog. So this is what I did this morning. I woke up. She was barking at about 7 to 7:30. I get up at like 8:30. What I did was I went downstairs. I put the e-collar on her. I don't have the remote, but she's on an e-collar technologies mini educator. I have it set on 3, okay? And 3 is way lower than a human can even feel it, but dogs can feel it. They have different skin. They sense things different than us, so they can feel it as an annoyance. So I put the e-collar on her, and I went back upstairs and I went back to sleep. However, I had the remote in my hand ready to go. So if I heard her barking again, this was part of training, me going back to sleep. I even slept in. I didn't get up at 8:30. I got up at about 9:30. It's training. I'm training the dog, so I got extra sleep. The dog's great. The dog's getting me extra sleep. I'm training laying in bed. So I had the remote in my hand ready to go, waiting to hear her bark, which is not a loud bark, by the way. And she does one of these. Bark, 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 bark. That's the cadence. It's not a frantic bark. It's probably just related to her sort of having mommy-itis and being used to, okay, she wakes up, I'm gonna feed the dog. She thinks she's gonna get fed right away. If the sun is coming up, she's expecting food. If your dog barks for anything, don't give it to him. Do not nurture the barking dog. Don't give them if they get attention, it should be negative attention. No. Don't feed them. If they're barking for food, they're going to do it again. They'll bark for food. So I have the e-collar on her, and I'm using the remote. Like I said, this is lower than a human can even feel it. And she stopped. So you had to break up that cadence somehow. It might be you rushing into the door, opening a door real quick and going, no, like that. But it stopped the cadence. Some bark collars, and then she'll be going back with a bark collar, because I think that it's sort of, well, it's not unrealistic, but it'll make it easier for her mom that, like, say when she leaves, that's when Bella was barking when her mom was leaving, so she might have separation anxiety or whatever. So her mom will put the bark collar on her, maybe on vibrate actually. That might just be enough to get the dog to quit that cadence, and then that way her mom can leave the house without bribing her with, like, she was bribing her with like a big marrow bone. Like, here, take this. You see the problem? It's setting the dog up to, like, sort of screw up and be sort of, spoiled. She can go in the cage and have a deer antler, that's fine, but she doesn't need food, and that's what a beef bone is. It has all that marrow in it. It's like you're feeding the dog, You could use a distraction like a deer antler, just don't, or like a Kong, something like that, but when you're using food as the distraction, it can really cause an issue. And Bella was growling with the bone, so it's not helpful. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, if the dog's growling with a bone, don't give it the bone. It shouldn't own anything, and if anything's too high of a value like that, just don't give it to her. Now, bark collars, there's many different bark collars. We're going to try a bunch of them, see what works best for Bella. We'll try different settings. We might try just vibrate. We might try low stimulation. But we'll figure it out by the time that she's going home, so her mom can leave, put the bark collar on her so she doesn't have to. She could have a remote collar that she could correct Bella, like if Bella's going over towards the window and doing that would be great. If her mom steps in and says no, uses the remote, the mini educator, that would be good. But we'll definitely have a bark collar going back, because I'll tell you something. If a dog has separation anxiety, barking just makes it worse. It just continues. So you have to get the dog with separation anxiety not to bark. If you want the dog to be better, and I know people that are dog trainers are thinking, well, how is that going to help the dog's separation anxiety? I'm telling you, the barking dog with separation anxiety is sort of frantic. They're frantic, but then if you put the e-collar, the bark collar on the dog with separation anxiety, you go in, they're all calm, they're chill like this, like she's just laying down. That's what you want. You want the calm dog. Seeing a dog that's frantic and barking, that's not a happy dog. By the way, the happy dog isn't necessarily the super active dog. It could be happy. This dog's totally chill. She doesn't need to be jumping around frantic. See my point? But know this about bark collars, that not one bark collar is going to work for one dog. And if you are just going to go out, well, I got a barking dog, I'm going to go buy a bark collar, you might make matters a whole lot worse. I have a wide variety of bark collars I can try on the dog, and if none of those work, I'm going to be trying other ones that I've used in the past. I'll get the right bark collar so that it doesn't make it worse. If you put a bark collar on a dog, a lot of times they'll make it worse. They'll bark through it, and it'll make it worse. So it might be that the bark collar is just too low, and it also might be the bark collar is too high. One bark collar doesn't work on all dogs. It's totally different than using like a remote collar. It's totally different. A lot of them have different settings. A lot of them are like vibrate, stimulate. A lot of them are just stimulate. A lot of them you can make vibrate or stimulate. Some of them have a sound. I have a collar downstairs that just makes a beeping sound. That can work. You just need something to break that cadence of the barking, or it just continues. So while she's here, we're e-collar conditioning her so that she understands how to turn off the e-collar, and we're also going to make sure that Bella has a bark collar going back that works properly. So if you have the barking collar or the barking dog, remember this, that barking dogs end up in shelters. They end up getting put down. So to say, well, I'm not going to e-collar condition the dog, or I'm not going to use a bark collar is just nonsense. In the city, in New York City, you can't have dogs barking all the time. The city will come, start giving you tickets as a nuisance, and they can take your dog away. You have to get it under control, and if your dog is barking all the time, it might have separation anxiety. That's not a happy dog. So you want barking really to be as limited as possible. Okay? This dog is great. This dog is awesome. It is. It's awesome. It's chill. It's like she'll just sit around with me. I fucking love it. She's not asking for anything. She just wants to hang out with a human.